Level 18, time signatures and counting. In this level, we're going to explore the rhythmic element of music. Music exists in time. People like to dance. And so we're going to understand how that works. I feel like if we can understand what the time signature is, what the measure is, and we can understand how to count quarter notes and eighth notes, then we're on our way to understanding how rhythm works. The first thing we're going to talk about is the measure. And this is what it looks like in music. It's from this bar line to this bar line here. And I want you to memorize that a measure is a container of counts. It contains counts. In our musical example here, our measure is containing 4 counts. Here's the measure from this bar line here to this bar line here. And this measure contains 4 counts. You can see them right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason why it contains 4 counts. Now, some measures will contain 3 counts. Some measures can contain 6 counts. There's a lot of different varieties of counts that a measure can contain. But all I need you to know right now is that a measure is just a container of counts. Our next topic is the time signature. We discussed a while ago how the measure can contain 4 counts and how sometimes they can contain 3 or 6 counts. And that's dependent upon the time signature. And in particular, we're going to be talking about the top number of the time signature. In this particular example, it's in 4/4 time signature. That top number tells us that the measure contains 4 counts. Now, sometimes that number can be a 3, and if it were a 3, then the measure would contain 3 counts. But whatever the top number is, equals the number of counts within the measure. So as an example, in our music, we have a 4/4 time signature. And you can see that our measures are divided up into 4 counts. Here's count 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this measure, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This measure is also divided up into 4 counts. Now there's faster notes within here. We're going to talk about these quarter and eighth notes in just a minute. But the fact is that the measure is containing 4 counts. There's count 1, 2, 3, 4. These notes are just faster than these notes. Now that we understand the measure and the time signature, we're going to learn our first note value, and that's the quarter note. And it's a darkened circle with a stem. And I want you to memorize that a quarter note equals 1 count in 4/4 time signature. That's all you need to know for right now. And on our musical example, we have a 4/4 time signature, which means the measure can contain 4 counts. And so if a quarter note equals a count, that means we can fit up to 4 quarter notes inside the measure. And that's what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just counted quarter notes. Now, if I were strumming my guitar to those counts, I would be strumming quarter notes. So that's how that works. I want you to remember that a quarter note equals 1 count in 4/4 time signature. And our next note value is the eighth note. And that's shown by a darkened circle with a stem and 1 flag. 1 flag means it's an eighth note. I want you to memorize that an eighth note gets half of a count in 4/4 time signature. So when you see the 4/4 time signature and you see an eighth note, you know that it gets half of a count. When an eighth note stands alone, we use a flag. But when we put 2 next to each other, we like to use a beam. So a flag is the same thing as a beam. 2 standalone eighth notes can be beamed together with a solid beam. If we do some math, we'll see that a quarter note, which gets 1 count, lasts as long as 2 eighth notes, which get half counts. It makes sense because a half count plus a half count equals 1 count. In other words, we can fit 2 eighth notes inside of 1 quarter note. Or, in other words, eighth notes are twice as fast as quarter notes. And we can hear this in this musical example as I count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. What you just heard were downbeats, and then on the eighth notes you heard downbeats and upbeats. So on the quarter notes, we only had downbeats. We call them downbeats because they happen on the count. In fact, you could see my cursor drop in the down position as I made sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the pen goes down as you say the count. Those are called downbeats. But when we get to the eighth notes, we have downbeats and we have upbeats. You saw my cursor go down on the downbeat, and when I said and or the upbeat, my cursor went up. And so it sounded like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so as you notice, these were twice as fast as these. So our eighth notes are twice as fast as the quarter notes. And we represent that by the and beat. So we're going to use the and syllable for that. Let's count it out one more time. I'll give a 4 count and we'll begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And if you could keep up with me, then you're ready to take on the rest of the exercise. Okay, we're going to do a little math to validate our top number in the time signature, now that we understand quarter and eighth note values. Basically, these numbers should add up to 4. So let's see if that works. A quarter note equals a count, a quarter note equals a count, a quarter note equals a count, and a quarter note equals a count. That's 4 counts. That's the top number right there. An eighth note is a half of a count. So there's a half, 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 and there's a half. Add them all up, it equals to 4 counts. We'll go down here. Here's a quarter note, that's 1 count. A half count plus a half count equals 1 count. There's 1 count there. And then a half count plus a half count equals a count. So you add them all up, a count, a count, a count, and a count equals 4 counts. So it doesn't matter how you jumble these up, they should equal 4 in 4/4 time signature. All right, well, it's time for our counting exercise. I want you to print out this music here, and then I want you to get out a pencil, because what we're going to do is at 60 beats per minute on the metronome, we're going to tap our pencil on the counts as we say the counts with our voice. When we get to the eighth notes, you'll need to say the and beat. So as your pencil goes up, you'll be saying the and beat. It's really just best to watch this. I'm going to go ahead and run through the entire exercise. You should be able to keep up with me. All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. Now if that was too fast, you can slow the metronome down to 50 or 40 beats per minute. The main thing is that you maintain the count with your pencil. As that metronome clicks, you're tapping those counts. The click represents the count. And then when you're over here, when you lift your pencil, that represents that and beat. So it's very important to make sure that your pencil is as accurate as your voice. When we get down here, I didn't write the counts. So if it helps you to write out the counts, you can put count 1 here, count 2 here, and then 3, and then the and of 3, and then 4, and then the and of 4 there. So you can write those in if that helps your eyes to see it better.